Good morning, Ashley.
Oh, good morning.
How's it going today?
It's all right. Yeah, a little chilly this morning, but looking forward to the sun coming out.
It's like the days of old when summer didn't begin until 5th of July.
That's right. Yes, exactly. It was always really chilly until the 5th of July.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us for 10 Minutes with 52. And thank you to everyone for joining us today. My name is Elaine Shea. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at 52 Limited, which is a creative and tech staffing agency. We have for a long, long time believed that community is the best way to look for a job, find connections, and get support. And right now, I know a lot of us could use all kinds of support. So we have invited the Business for a Better Portland um, organization to join us. Ashley Henry is going to talk a little bit about the organization, and just share a little bit about upcoming events and how people can participate. So thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
So let's first back up and talk about Business for a Better Portland. Tell us about how the organization is different than, say, the Better Business Bureau or other organizations that involve small businesses, and
Sure.
who your community consists of and how
Yeah,
that's different from
absolutely.
those other organizations.
We were founded back in 2017. We were started by a group of entrepreneurs. So we very much have an entrepreneurial spirit and culture. We were started by folks primarily from the tech industry and the creative industry who were seeking a business association that they could be part of that both aligned with their progressive values and also understood where they were coming from as entrepreneurs. A more traditional chamber environment typically requires an enormous amount of time if you're going to be really deeply engaged with that organization. And oftentimes larger companies have, a vice president of government affairs or a vice president of community affairs. And as you know, from the types of companies that you recruit for, most of the small to medium-sized companies in Portland these days don't have that person on staff, right? And so, in the absence of having that person, there's really no way to engage with a traditional business association. And so, the entrepreneurs who founded our organization wanted to see if they could create what we now refer to as a civic engagement on-ramp, because we know that there are a lot of really progressive and innovative folks in our community who were not engaging in some of the issues that are, top issues for the city of Portland: housing, affordable housing, homelessness, safe and efficient transportation, and creating more economic opportunity for everyone. And so they experimented with what they could do to find efficient ways for folks to engage. And they did that primarily through calls to action that really didn't take a ton of somebody's time. It didn't require them to commit to going to a meeting or being on a committee. And what they learned through this call to action model was just how much sort of untapped creative talent and excitement there was for being involved in community issues. And so we have, over the last 3.5 years, grown the organization from the original 15 to over 400. And we work on three main focus areas: housing and homelessness, transportation, and economic opportunity. And we do that through the calls to action that I mentioned. So, online engagement. But then what we learned from our first year of being a membership organization is that folks are really interested in getting together and getting to know one another. And so we started having more networking events that were still focused on those policy areas, but still gave people a chance to come together and learn from experts, and then follow up after that event with some sort of civic engagement. And then in our second year, we expanded to actually start more formal work groups, because there were some people who were like, well, that 2-hour event was nice, but I'd actually like to dig in and learn more about that transportation policy issue or that homelessness issue. So we started convening those work groups as well. And then in our third year, we expanded our programming to include B2B events that were not specific to any one policy area, but would give like-minded business folks the chance to get to know one another and perhaps even do collaborative work. We've actually there have been some joint ventures that have resulted from some of our B2Bs.
That's great. And I'm sure in this time and space right now, you are extremely busy with all of your members, given that there's a lot of civic grievances and a lot of work to be done as far as businesses and supporting those businesses.
Mm-hmm.
What type of events and community initiatives are you working on now, and how can we support you?
Thanks. Well, yes, everything changed rapidly after COVID. We had an event planned for Design Week. We were going to host a very innovative candidate forum because we had so many people running for city council. And we tried to figure out how to pivot that into an online event, and we couldn't. But we have had several online events. In fact, the very first ones we had were with our U.S. senators, Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden. Early in the days of COVID, we were wanting to learn, what was happening in Washington, D.C., what kinds of relief packages would be coming from D.C. For small business. And it was really important for our members to be able to hear directly from our elected leaders, and then also for the elected leaders to hear the stories of what some of our small business owners were facing. We have, since that time, we've had several Zoom calls with individual legislators. We had Speaker of the House, Tina Kotek, spoke with us on a virtual town hall about a month and a half ago to let us know about the work that she was doing in Salem on economic relief. And then we've had other calls with legislators from different districts around the Portland metro region, giving business owners the opportunity to speak directly with their legislators about the challenges that they're facing and the relief that they're seeking. And then we have a B2B tonight that's online, and it's going to be focused on racial justice.
Hitting all of the important topics. And I agree, some things are not translated well online, but so important to continue to stay active in all of those spaces.
Definitely.
For small business owners, what kind of advice could you give to them at this time, if any, as far as, trying to continue to keep their business open, or, any advice you could give to those small business owners in this time and space right now?
Well, I will say that one good resource that they might want to consider is our switchboard. If you go to bbpdx.org, there's a banner at the top that will link you to our switchboard, and we've had a lot of small businesses sharing asks and offers there to let folks know. I mean, there's a gentleman who has a company that is selling PPE. It's a Black-owned business, and we just learned about him recently. But beyond our switchboard, I would recommend that small business owners seek the COVID-19 pages at the Prosper Portland website, and then also Business Oregon, which is our state's economic development agency, also has a small business navigator page that has enormous resources on it, everything from what kinds of financial assistance might you be available or eligible for, as well as information on the PPE exchange that they've set up. So there's quite a bit of information that's out there. It's just sometimes it can be very difficult to navigate, to scroll through a lot of web pages. So if anybody has particular asks that they haven't been able to meet, I would encourage them to post that as a question or an ask on our switchboard. I think they'd be surprised at the kinds of feedback that they might be able to get from the community.
Sure. Sure.
People are sharing their best practices and sharing what they've learned from their own research.
what a wonderful resource, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes you just want to know that you're not the only person dealing
Yeah,
with this. And
yeah,
sometimes you just want a shortcut, right? Someone
right,
who may have already tested all of the waters.
yeah.
Um, is BBPDX still, enlisting or enrolling members? Can someone join as a member? And can you tell us a little bit about those member benefits?
Sure. Yes, we were really thrilled that we have been getting a few new members. We obviously are not growing at the pace that we were before the pandemic. But what we have experienced is really high member retention. And that's been very heartening. I think the folks that were members see the good work that BBPDX is doing on their behalf and in the community more broadly. And so it's been encouraging to have that strong member retention. And then some organic growth as a result of the advocacy that we've been doing to advocate for the needs of small business. We have a pretty affordable due structure. So for small businesses with 1 to 3 employees, it's just $200 a year. For 3 to 9 employees, it's $600 a year or $50 a month. And then for businesses with 10 or more employees, it's just $1,200 a year or $100 a month. And the benefits really are in the form of the opportunities for, in this case, virtual networking, but connecting with like-minded businesses, learning about opportunities to leverage your political and social capital that you have as a business member, as a business leader. Oftentimes people are unaware of just how much change is possible when you pool political and social capital, right? And over the last month or 2.5 months, we were able to bring a coalition together, not just of Portland businesses, but small business support organizations from around the state that all wanted to see more support for small business. And we began advocating back in late March and early April. And by pooling our political and social capital, we were able to get the emergency board to pass a $10 million package for small business grants that are now being distributed around the state. And then we additionally advocated to get another $3 million for technical assistance for small businesses. So navigation services, coaching and mentoring, that $3 million is going to be distributed out by the state to culturally specific chambers of commerce and community-based organizations that provide direct support to small business owners to help them survive this crisis. And so really one of the primary benefits of being a member of BBPDX is knowing that you're contributing to an organization that is in itself contributing to a greater, a stronger community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I know that you mentioned that there's an event this evening. What other future events, and can non-members attend those events? And what
We do
events?
have some events for non-members. Tonight's B2B is full. It's not surprisingly a very popular topic around racial justice, and specifically what can the business community do to advance racial justice. But we occasionally have programming, like in early July, we're having a presentation from an employee at Metro, our regional government, to let folks know about a transportation funding package that will likely be on the ballot in November. And so if folks wanted to come and learn about what's to come on that, that would be available. And then the policy event that we're planning for the fall, it will probably have to be online. And we will have non-member tickets available for that event. And we haven't confirmed what the topic will be, but it's usually about housing or transportation or economic development policy. And given the state of the pandemic, we'll obviously be talking about economic recovery.
Definitely. Website, we can check out your website for upcoming events, member benefits, and other ways to participate and support your organization.
bbpdx.org.
Awesome. Thank you,
Mhm.
Ashley, so much for spending time with us today, and thank you
Thanks
to
for inviting
everyone
me.
that joined us. We wish you well and support small businesses any way you can. So thank you so much for your energy, your effort, and your passion.
Thanks for having me.
Be well.
You too. Bye-bye.